Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads. And as a summer hater, I am delighted that summer is coming to an end. But as I know there are quite a few people that I know who love summer and are kind of sad that it's ending, I wanted to share just a handful of book recommendations that have very strong summer vibes that there's still time to read. Summer technically doesn't end for another, I think, 3 weeks. In my heart, I'm already, ankle deep in autumn, but technically autumn doesn't start till mid-September, I think. So there's so much time to get to these books. I know I did, I think I did a summer book recommendation last year. So these are just books that in the last 12 months I have read, and while reading them remarked to myself, these would be perfect to read in summer. So that's what I'm doing. Summer book recommendations for all you summer lovers out there, or just people who want to read somewhat seasonally. And I'm going to start with one of the most recent books I have read, which is Meet Bees by Dane Auerbach. This takes place in Tennessee in the height of summer. There are wasps that are basically killing and eating people. It takes place in this really cool kind of resort, like an activity centre with hard hats and climbing and flying foxes and things. Sounds very fun. I wouldn't go to it because I don't like heights, but it takes place during the summer holidays. Definitely strong summer vibes, sweltering heat, wasps. Of course there's wasps. And there is the most infuriating main character, but I promise once you get past her and start sort of going hee hee at her, the book is so much fun. And it's a very fast-paced book, and it's very fun, very enjoyable, and there's a really good twist that I didn't see coming, and I wasn't mad at it. And another, while I have my electronic books, might as well go to my other ebook recommendation, which is The Intrigue by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have had I don't want to say love-hate relationship with Silvia Moreno Garcia, but I loved a lot of her older books and then kind of it is love-hate, because I then hated some of her newer books. But with The Intrigue, I feel we've gone love, hate, love. Again, this takes place during a heat wave. Can you see my thought process here? And it's set in Mexico in the 1940s. We have a lonely hearts swindler. Yep, he finds a new mark through the papers and he shows up at her guest house ready to swindle her. But she is not so easily swindled. We have a lot of family history, a lot of drama, a lot of secrets are coming out of the woodwork, and it suddenly feels like this lonely heart swindler is the least interesting part of this book because there is so much happening, there's so much drama, there's so much infighting, and I had the best time with this. The weather definitely adds a sort of claustrophobic element to the story, because of the amping tension being reflected by the increased temperature. I thought anyway, but definitely gives me summer vibes, and it's so fun and dark and tense. Highly, highly recommend. As a side note, I am delighted to be back on my Silvia Moreno Garcia train. Choo choo. So happy because I loved Gods of Jade and Shadow. I love Signal to Noise. It's just so nice, when you have an author that you love and you kind of find yourselves falling apart and then you get back together. Oh, made me very happy in my wee heart. And then on to my physical books. I have 4. So I have Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This takes place in Hollywood, and I cannot explain my working, and I won't explain my working, but Hollywood to me equals summer. I don't know why, but it does. We have Misha, who's a film writer, and they're kind of on the cusp of making their big break, and they're basically told to bury their gaze. They have gay main characters and the network is like, nah, we're not okay with this. Move with the times, lads. It's fine. And Misha stands by their work and then feels that they have put a target on their head by standing for what they believe in. And it's very exciting, it's very fun, it's very almost not slapstick, but it reminded me a wee teeny bit of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just with the sort of Hollywood hijinks, which I thought were really fun. I'm really loving Chuck. This was my second Chuck Tingle book. I want to read more of his stuff, of this kind of book, not of my macaroni cheese lawyer kind of books. I want this. Another, what some may consider tenuous link is 100 Other Girls by Iman Hariri Kia. This has summer vibes because it takes place in a magazine. And I will explain my working here, why books and magazines make me feel summery. Because the biggest time for magazines is September. It's the September issue. We all know this. So naturally they're working on the September issue in summer. Therefore, in my mind, anything that takes place in a magazine office equals summer. That's my logic, and I'm going to stick firmly with it. As you could probably tell from the title, we have Noura, who has taken on this position as an assistant that 100 other girls would kill for, and she's working in this fashion magazine. It is like the job of dreams, except it's horrific. It takes so much of her time, so much of her energy, so much of her heart, and her boss is an unhinged nightmare, which makes for such fun reading. I really enjoyed this. I love Noura as a character. I love the relationship she has with her colleagues, and they're sort of banding together against the big bad. In this, it also adds a sort of more modern flair to the classic Devil Wears Prada style story, where there is a battle between digital and print, which is sort of the age-old, do we move with the times, out with the old, in with the new, and that brings up a whole bunch of drama. I love this. I love this author. I love her brain. I love her characters. I love the way that everyone feels so real, but also I love the drama. Very fun. I read this in November, and I remember reading it while it was freezing outside. I was reading it in a cafe, and I remember just being like, I wish I was reading this with like I had a mocktail, but it was a winter mocktail. I wished I was reading it with a summer mocktail instead, when it wasn't dark at 7 p.m. It had those summer vibes. It needed my drink to have a little umbrella in it. It needed the sun to be awake after 7 p.m. Another book where I feel the weather as a character in itself is Kismet by Amina Akhtar. This, I think I've vlogged all of these books apart from Meat Bees, but I read this over the span of a day, doing a little cafe hop. It was a lovely time for me, but again, it was February, I believe. This takes place in Arizona. You see why I think summer. I know these places have other seasons, but I've never been to, Arizona or New York or Hollywood. So in my mind, they exist solely in summer. That's my working. But we have just this, again, the stifling heat, the claustrophobia, the paranoia. And that paranoia is, yeah, it kind of needs to be there, because Ronnie is reinventing herself. She's restarting her life in Arizona. She is living with a sort of yoga guru who is basically a complete influencer shafter. She is a blogger. She's making all of these things up, but they move to this town that is very spiritual, is very at one with the environment. And so you can see the locals can see a player, and they can see who is just making stuff up. And there's murders going on. And we have all of this self-care happening, but at the same time, there's all these horrific murders going on. People are going missing. And what is happening? What is happening? Loved it. So much fun. I loved the characters, but I definitely got stifling claustrophobia from the atmosphere, from the setting. So much fun. I think this would be perfect to read if you're ever in Arizona, which I probably won't be. And my last recommendation is Make Me Famous by Maud Ventura. This is my trophy copy. I've never read this copy because I got this from the library. Loved it, bought my own copy. Now I'm trying to forget it so that I can go back and reread it. We have Cleo, who is a French pop star. She is getting ready to go on her first vacation in forever, and she's going to go to this desert island, summer vibes. And she's gone to this island to work on her new album. And while she's there, she's sort of reminiscing on the past, and we get to see her rise to fame. And the way that she just trod on everybody as she went up that ladder and pulled it up behind her. Cleo is this beloved pop star. She is a superstar. She is a megastar. She is everything. People love her. She is so effervescent that you can't not, but she is also deeply troubled. You get to see internal monologues, which are one of my favourite things in a book. I love seeing what the characters are thinking, and she is so unpleasant. She's so just up herself. She thinks she is the greatest person ever in the history of ever, and nobody can even compare to her. But she is getting older in the pop star way of getting older. She's only 30. She's not old at all. But there are younger pop stars who are making their rounds, and she feels the competition. And that makes her lose her grip on what actions are appropriate and what are not. And I have my hair in my lip gloss. I don't want to give too much of this book away because this is probably, I don't know why I say probably, 100% this will be on my favourites list for the year because I just adored it. I also loved My Husband, which is also by Maud Ventura, and I went out of my way to get the matching copy. Well, not matching I suppose, but both with the lady faces on them, because the UK edition of the paperback had a horrible cover that I didn't want. So I spent a bit more than I would want, but I got this. And it was from eBay, so it wasn't that expensive really. Anyway, absolutely loved this. Yes, we have Desert Island. Desert Islands equal summer. But so does pop music. Did we have a song of the summer this year? I don't know. Was there a song of the summer? Who knows? I'm so behind trends. Anyway, I hope that if you like summer or seasonal reading or just books in general, that maybe one or more of these books appeal to you. I am so ready for autumn to start, but I don't want to wish my life away. I just want to wish the seasons away. The days can stay as they are. I just want the season to start a smidge earlier. But that's just me. I've never liked summer, but I love how happy it makes other people. So that's better. I like when other people are happy, even if I'm not. I'd like to know if you're a summer lover and if you have any recommendations for summer or autumn books, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.